Christine walked up her mother's driveway, a small gift in hand. She allowed herself a sliver of hope. The front door opened, spilling warm light and a press of relatives' voices. Pamela's smile was too bright. The dining room glowed with pendant lights and murmur. Christine scanned the faces and froze. Among the relatives sat her therapist, Dr. Carolyn.
We're here because Christine is mentally ill, and we've organized this intervention with her therapist's help.
I was told this was a family appreciation dinner. I have never disclosed Christine's information to you.
The room went silent. Christine's hand tightened on the doorframe. Pamela's smile flickered.
I cannot ethically participate in any discussion about Christine's care. This situation is a serious violation, and I will file a report. Christine, I am deeply sorry. I had no idea this was a setup.
Before Christine could respond, Dr. Carolyn walked out. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. Christine didn't follow. She pulled out a chair and sat down at that table of betrayal with her back straight and her eyes dry. The silence stretched until Pamela's voice sliced through it, brittle and forced.
Obviously, there's been a misunderstanding. Dr. Carolyn simply doesn't remember our arrangement.
Arrangement. The word landed like a lie. Christine had been trained to accept.
Aunt Linda set her fork down with a clink that echoed louder than any words of defense on the sideboard. The birthday gift Christine had brought sat unopened, a silent accusation. Christine pushed her chair back. The scrape of wood on tile was the only sound she allowed herself. She lifted her plate, the food untouched, and walked out of the dining room without a glance back.
Running away proves nothing, Christine.
The relatives stared at their half-eaten meals. The dinner, built on deceit, had crumbled. Outside, Christine's hands were steady on the steering wheel. She had left more than a plate behind. The road home blurred past the windows. Christine's breath came slow and even. She had not cried. She had not screamed. She had learned that young. For 2 years she had sat in Dr. Carolyn's office, unraveling the knots of a childhood, where love came with conditions.
You learned that safety meant silence, Christine. That's not a failing. That's survival.
She had been silent all her childhood. Tonight, silence had been her only weapon.
After a year of therapy, Christine drew the lines. Sunday phone calls, no visits, no holidays. Pamela called it punishment. Christine called it peace.
I just want what's best for you, sweetheart. I don't understand why you push me away.
What Christine didn't know was that for 6 months, Pamela had been feeding relatives a darker story. The message read, Christine is unstable, delusional, and her therapist is manipulating her. Please pray for us. That lie had been the seed. The birthday dinner she had walked toward with fragile hope was never meant to heal anything. Now, in the quiet of her own driveway, Christine let the engine idle, and the truth settle. Her mother had tried to publicly break her, but she hadn't. While Christine sat alone in her dark apartment, her text reached Dr. Carolyn's desk. The therapist was already filing the ethics complaint.
She crossed a line that has consequences. I am requesting a formal HIPAA notice and a cease and desist.
The next morning, Christine's phone rang before her coffee had cooled.
Christine, I've filed a complaint and a HIPAA notification. It's being sent certified mail. You won't have to face this alone.
HIPAA. The word felt like a shield she had never been given before.
The cease and desist came from her liability insurer, a legal warning that any further invasion of Christine's privacy would trigger immediate action.
You did nothing wrong. This was a violation of my professional ethics and your trust. I will defend that boundary.
Someone believed her. For the first time, someone in authority believed her.
The envelope was thick with legal weight, still days away from Christine's mailbox, already detonating unseen. And in Pamela's house, the phone had not yet rung, but it would. 3 days later, the certified envelope arrived. Christine signed for it with a pulse in her throat.
This paper could change everything, or just confirm what she already knew.
The notice stated, Pamela Anderson solicited confidential therapy information under false pretenses, a direct violation of federal privacy regulations. A cease and desist order was enclosed, demanding all contact cease or face legal proceedings.
Validation and dread fought in her chest. This letter would not stay private.
When Pamela's copy arrived, the sound of ripping paper preceded a phone call to the first relative on her list.
She's turned her therapist against me. This is a conspiracy to destroy my reputation.
But this time, the family group chat didn't fill with sympathetic prayers. Instead, a different message appeared. Aunt Linda wrote, "Pamela, what exactly did you tell Dr. Carolyn?" The question hung unanswered.
The next family dinner was 3 weeks away. For the first time, she had evidence.
The next session, Christine placed the folded HIPAA letter on the cushion beside her. Dr. Carolyn waited, her silence an open door.
You've been carrying something heavy. Would you like to talk about the letter?
I want to bring it to the dinner. Set it on Pamela's empty plate. But I am afraid it makes me the monster she always said I was.
What would a monster do? A monster would wield it as a weapon without a second thought. You are hesitating.
Silence was my survival, but if I stay silent now, the lie wins. Isn't there a middle ground?
Perhaps. The letter is evidence, not a weapon. You can present it without malice. Truth spoken quietly is still truth.
Could she do that? Place the letter. Walk back to her chair. Let the paper speak for itself.
Dr. Carolyn leaned forward, her voice measured.
The gathering is an opportunity, not an obligation. You don't have to decide today, but whatever you choose, you are not alone.
Christine left the office with the letter heavier than before, but the weight felt honest. 2 days later, Aunt Linda's name lit up Christine's phone. The call she had not expected.
Christine, I've been thinking about that dinner. I owe you more than silence. I should have asked more questions. Your mother? She's been telling us things for months. I am starting to see what she did.
What exactly changed your mind, Aunt Linda?
Your therapist left that dinner without a shred of doubt, and you didn't fall apart. That spoke louder than Pamela's whole story.
After the call, a text from Jenna appeared. Then, a brief, halting phone call from Marcus. Jenna wrote, "I am sorry I didn't say anything that night. I should have."
I felt sick watching that. I just didn't know how to step in.
When Linda called again with the dinner invitation, Christine's answer came without hesitation.
I'll be there. Tell everyone I am bringing something important.
The week before the dinner, Christine printed a fresh copy of the HIPAA letter, the ink dried sharp and final.
Place it on the plate. Walk back. Sit down. No words. Would her hand shake? Would Pamela's chair even be filled? She couldn't control any of that. Only this.
She called Dr. Carolyn for a brief check-in, her voice steadier than she expected.
Trust your instinct. You've done the work. The letter is only a reminder of boundaries that were always yours.
I am ready. Whatever happens, this paper is my truth.
That evening, Pamela called. Her voice was sharp, brittle, with something Christine recognized as fear.
I know you are planning something for the dinner. Don't think you can embarrass me with that letter. I'll set the record straight.
I am not planning to embarrass you, Mom. I am just bringing evidence.
She hung up before Pamela could respond. The letter, now folded in her bag, felt lighter than it had in weeks.
The drive to Linda's was paved with old ghosts. A memory surfaced, sharp as glass.
She was 7, crying over a broken toy. Pamela's voice cut like a blade. "Tears are for the weak. Wipe your face."
She learned then that her pain was an inconvenience. Tonight, that lesson would be rewritten.
She parked a block away, needing the air. The folded letter was a familiar weight in her palm. At the front door, she paused. Through the window, the dining table was set. One chair was conspicuously empty.
Pamela wasn't there. The absence was louder than any ambush.
Linda opened the door before she could knock. Her smile was cautious, but real.
I am glad you came, Christine. Truly.
I said I would.
She stepped inside, the letter pressed against her blouse. The room hummed with unsaid words. Dinner had been polite, strained. Christine waded through the soup, the salad, her pulse a metronome, counting down to the moment she could no longer delay.
Now? The main course had just been served. Before the roasted chicken cooled. Before her courage evaporated.
She rose, and the scrape of her chair silenced the room. Every fork paused midair. The walk to Pamela's empty chair was 10 deliberate steps that stretched like miles. She placed the folded letter precisely on the plate, as if setting down a gift that had cost her everything. Then she returned to her seat, and lifted her water glass with a hand that did not tremble. Linda was the first to move. She unfolded the paper with trembling fingers. Linda unfolded the letter, her eyes tracking the official letterhead, the word HIPAA, the damning clause that proved her sister's deceit. When she looked up at Christine, her face had crumbled into sorrow.
Oh, honey.
The weight in the room shifted as Linda stood, the letter trembling in her hand like a confession.
I speak for everyone who sat at that table last month. We were lied to, and we failed you. I am so deeply sorry.
Thank you, Aunt Linda. That means more than you know.
Jenna and Marcus exchanged a look of raw guilt, neither trusting their voice to break the silence.
Your mother orchestrated a cruel trick, and we played along without asking the right questions. That stops now.
She wasn't apologizing for Pamela. She was apologizing for the silence, and that was enough.
The frozen room exhaled. Someone passed the bread, and the clink of silverware returned, subdued but steady. Throughout the meal, no one touched the empty chair or moved the letter. It lay there, an unspoken witness. Everyone finally saw.
You are welcome at my table anytime, Christine. No more interventions, I promise.
That's all I ever wanted, Aunt Linda. A seat at the table, not a stage.
After dessert, Christine slipped into the quiet hallway. Jenna and Marcus followed, their footsteps hesitant.
Christine, I keep replaying that night. I should have stood up or walked out. I am sorry.
It's hard to go against the crowd, especially when Pamela is leading it. I understand.
I knew something was off. I should have trusted my gut. I am sorry for being a coward.
It's okay, Marcus. You are here now. That counts.
The words hung in the air, awkward and real, a small tether to a family she thought she'd lost.
They weren't allies yet, but they'd stopped being the silent jury.
At the door, Linda pulled her into a wordless, fierce embrace, a promise sealed in pressure.
Drive safe. You are always welcome here.
Christine walked to her car, the folded letter still in her bag, but the edge of it no longer cut. In the weeks that followed, the family group chat went dormant. No one asked where Pamela was. The framed photo on Linda's mantel had been replaced, a recent gathering with an empty space where Pamela used to stand.
They were choosing truth over loyalty. It should have felt like victory. It felt like grief.
Every Sunday, Christine called. The timer on her phone never passed 10 minutes.
I don't know why you bother calling if you have nothing to say.
Because I said I would. Goodbye, Mom.
In therapy, the work shifted. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was mapping the damage.
She had stopped waiting for an apology. That felt like the first real milestone.
The HIPAA letter sat in a drawer now, less a weapon than a boundary marker. Months passed. The new shape of the family held. Christine allowed herself to breathe, but not yet to trust. 4 years later, Christine was 34. The autumn roads looked the same, but she drove with a quiet that had settled into her bones.
It's your mother. The doctors confirmed early-stage dementia. She's going to need care.
The image that rose wasn't the mother who had schemed, but a future Christine hadn't planned for. An empty chair waiting to be filled. She remembered another version of Pamela, holding her as a baby with a grip that was possessive, not warm.
The woman who had weaponized her tears might not even remember doing it. Was that justice?
No one expects you to fix this, Christine. But you need to decide what you can live with.
Duty had nearly destroyed her once. She would not let it become a weapon again.
That night, she sat with the silence of her apartment and heard Dr. Carolyn's voice from years ago. Boundaries are acts of self-respect.
She could help without erasing herself. The answer wasn't yes or no, it was how.
She didn't have the answer yet, but she knew exactly where to go to find it. It had been months since Christine sat in this chair. The office smelled the same. Paper, tea, quiet safety.
Pamela has early dementia. I am standing at a crossroads I hoped I'd never see.
What action would leave you with the fewest regrets?
Not walking away entirely, that would haunt her. But not becoming the sacrificial daughter either. I could arrange for her care without being the one to provide it. Money can be a boundary too.
Then, that is not abandonment. That is a boundary you can live with.
That evening, Christine opened her laptop. She researched care facilities, clean, reputable ones, and the cost of a legal trust.
She could pay for Pamela's safety without giving her access to her heart. That felt like freedom.
The next morning, she called her lawyer. The trust would be anonymous, managed by a third party. No strings attached.
This wasn't forgiveness. It was a decision to be the person her mother could never be.
The trust documents lay on the polished desk. Christine signed with a steady hand, the pen quiet as a verdict. A week later, she toured a care facility with sunlit halls and a garden. She spoke to the director in a calm, measured tone.
I need this arrangement to remain confidential. No one is to know the source of the funding, especially my mother.
The director nodded. Private trusts were common. They asked no questions beyond the necessary. On the day of the move, Christine didn't go to the house. She drove the long way around, listening to the radio. Pamela was led into her new room by a gentle nurse, her eyes darting but uncomprehending.
This isn't my house. Where are my things? Who arranged this?
The answer was somewhere on the road behind her, sealed in a lawyer's filing cabinet.
On Sunday, Christine called. The conversation lasted 6 minutes. Pamela complained, but never probed. When Christine hung up, she sat in the silence of her car for a long time before driving home. Months passed. Christine visited the facility only when she knew Pamela would be asleep. She would stand in the doorway for a few minutes, watching the rise and fall of her mother's breath, then leave without a word. At a family gathering, Linda quietly asked, "She's being cared for?" Christine only nodded.
I figured it out. The trust. You don't have to talk about it.
Linda knew, and that was enough. The secret held.
In therapy, Dr. Carolyn studied her for a long moment, then spoke.
I've never seen anyone hold boundaries like this while still extending care. That's not weakness, Christine.
It wasn't forgiveness. It was refusing to become the thing that broke her.
She kept the Sunday calls, 5 minutes, mostly silence. The payments were automatic, invisible. Her life had grown around the wound, not despite it. That was the victory. At a cousin's wedding, a distant relative asked after Pamela. Linda's answer was brief and final.
She's in a care facility. Dementia.
No one pressed further. Pamela's name had become something the family no longer spoke at celebrations.
They had all seen the HIPAA letter. After seeing it, they couldn't unsee the truth.
In her bedroom, Christine kept a small wooden box. Inside was the folded HIPAA notice beside her therapy journal. The ink had faded slightly, but the words still carried weight. Violation, cease and desist, privacy.
She had once feared this paper would make her the monster. Now it was proof she had been right to stand.
She brought it to a session once. Dr. Carolyn held the letter with the same reverence Christine had learned to give herself.
This is not a weapon, Christine. It's a testament to your strength. Keep it as long as you need.
After that, she placed the letter in a shadow box frame on her wall, not to reopen the wound, but to remember the boundary that saved her. It was a small dinner at Linda's. Just a few. Pamela's chair had been removed. The table felt shorter, but honest. After the main course, Linda stood, her glass catching the light. The room quieted without tension.
I want to thank Christine. She handled the past with more grace than any of us deserved. She could have walked away, but she stayed.
A murmur of agreement rippled around the table. Jenna and Marcus nodded, their faces softer now.
I didn't do it for thanks. But, thank you. The old dinner had been a stage for a lie. This one was just a meal. That was the victory.
They raised their glasses. The sound was light, not the heavy silence of an intervention. No one mentioned the HIPAA letter. Its work was done, its shadow now a foundation they all stood on.
The family is smaller, but it's real. That's because of you.
She was not the broken one. She was the architect of a life that now, finally, fit.
Years later, Christine was 40 when the call came. Pamela had slipped away in her sleep. She drove to the facility one last time. The halls were quiet, the room still. Pamela's face was peaceful. Christine felt not anger, but a vast, hollow grief for what could never be.
This was not the mother she needed, but it was the one she had, and now it was over.
She arranged the funeral quietly, without drama. A single white rose on the casket. The family gathered. No one gave a eulogy. The silence said everything. Afterwards, Christine went home. The HIPAA letter was still in its box, untouched. It had served its purpose. Now it was just paper, and she was free. She stood by the window, watching the light fade. The weight she'd carried for decades had finally lifted. The mother who tried to break her was gone. And Christine was still standing. Weeks passed. On an ordinary Sunday morning, Christine sat with her coffee and the small wooden box. She unfolded the letter. The same words. HIPAA, violation, cease and desist. They no longer stung.
This paper saved me. Not because it punished her, but because it proved I was worth defending.
A faint smile crossed her lips. Not for the pain, but for the survival. She refolded the letter and placed it back in the box, closing the lid with a soft click. On the calendar, Sunday was no longer circled. There was no call to make.
No timer to set. No voice to brace for. Just the quiet hum of her own life.
She wrote a single line in her journal. I am free. Not from her, but for myself. The tea was warm. The sun through the window was gentle. The weight she'd carried since childhood was simply gone. She had built a life not defined by wounds, but illuminated by her own unbroken light. On a shelf beside the wooden box sat a single photograph. Linda, Jenna, Marcus, and Christine, all smiling. Pamela was not in it. Her absence was no longer a wound, but a healed-over scar. The HIPAA letter had not simply destroyed the family. It had dismantled the lies and given the truth a chance. From the rubble of that intervention dinner, something real had grown. A family that chose each other. And at the center of it, Christine. Not a victim, not a survivor. An architect. She had taken the weapon meant to destroy her and turned it into a cornerstone. The old family, built on control and silence, had crumbled. This new family was smaller, but it was free. Christine closed the box with the letter inside. The click of the lid was the sound of peace. She turned toward the window, where the morning light was just beginning to spill across the floor. She was the architect of her own life now, and the blueprint was her own.